The name of the movie is THX 1138. In this dystopian future film, which takes place in an underground society where humanity has been driven away from the Earth's livable surface, a highly controlled and technologically advanced environment has been created, serving as a research center. This underground chamber imposes strict rules and regulations, with dire consequences for those who disobey them. To maintain control and suppress human nature, residents are forced to take mind-altering pills on a daily basis. One of the strictest prohibitions is against sexual activity and natural reproduction. Violators face severe punishment, including being eliminated from the planet. The people without emotion dedicate themselves only to their work, carrying out their responsibilities in an almost robotic manner. The residents are assigned to perform demanding and hazardous tasks, sometimes putting their lives in danger as part of their daily routines. Dull emotions eliminate concepts of family love and individuality. One of the main tenets of this society is uniformity, which is highlighted by the way everyone looks. All people, regardless of gender, have shaven heads and wear identical white uniforms. People's identities are also standardized. Instead of being identified by names, they are identified by codes made up of 3 letters and a number. The main character of the film THX 1138 works in a factory that produces androids used as police officers. He lives with a lady named L3417, who works in the Central Control Unit of the city, which is in charge of overseeing the city and employs SN 5241. A congratulatory announcement blares through the loudspeakers celebrating the factory's achievement of losing only 195 workers while producing a single android officer. Shortly after, THX finds himself wrestling with an inner turmoil that is at odds with the rigidly controlled society in which he lives. The factory where THX works is particularly dangerous and places a constant emphasis on safety. Then, we see THX finishing his shift and heading to his room as he navigates through the city. Booth is a representation of society's effort to keep personal ideas and feelings under control. When TX walks inside the booth, he starts to share his questions and worries. The booth is run by an AI system that is meant to hear confessions and provide counsel. It is beautifully decorated with a picture of Jesus Christ. Speaking in a concerned tone, he admits to feeling ill and going through emotions he has never experienced before. Even though THX assures the machine that he has been taking his prescribed pills, which are meant to suppress emotions and maintain population uniformity, the machine still asks him to continue in a soothing voice, but its main concern is whether THX has been taking them. The session closes with a phony farewell message that reinforces the state's doctrine. You are a true believer, blessed by the state, blessed by the masses, work hard, increase production, prevent accidents, and be happy. The machine is unable to offer true assistance. After taking his prescription, THX discovers his roommate Yuke already there when he gets home. As THX settles down to watch a Holocaust documentary on the television, he is unaware that L has been covertly switching out his tablets with ones that don't include the typical sedatives. As a result, THX is gradually becoming different, experiencing anxiety and, for the first time, sexual cravings. L, who has grown fond of THX, views this as a chance to get to know him better. After dining together, LH approaches THX romantically, and he finds it difficult to resist as they engage in sexual activity that is prohibited and constitutes a serious violation of social norms. L tells THX that she has been changing his medicine, which has allowed him to no longer be emotionally debilitated by the pills. She begs him not to start taking the regular medication again, as she fears he may go back to his previous state of emotionlessness and may report her to the central control system for her actions. The narrative continues when THX arrives home after yet another exhausting work shift to find, to his astonishment, that SCNN is seated in his apartment. Sen tells THX that he has made arrangements for himself to be THX's new roommate and that L has relocated to another apartment. THX, who has become close to Lu 8, is noticeably unsettled by this sudden change and his absence from the flat. He leaves the scenario clearly dissatisfied and resolved to make things right. Senen's unapproved roommates, which is against their society's strict rules, so TX files a complaint with the Central Control Unit. As a result, Senen is apprehended by the android police officers. Back at work, THX becomes distracted and disoriented while operating a machine during a crucial and dangerous phase. His momentary loss of focus causes an alarm, alerting the other workers and forcing the factory to be evacuated. However, THX stays, his condition getting worse as he shows the whites of his eyes in a confused state. The plot takes a dramatic turn when both THX and L are arrested by the android police for pill evasion and engaging in an illicit sexual relationship. The Central Control Unit detects a chemical imbalance in THX's body, which is directly related to him not taking the prescribed pills since becoming romantically involved with LH. They impose a mind lock on THX to control the situation. Eventually, THX is able to make the necessary correction to ensure no lives are lost at the factory. THX is taken to a white room for additional testing, where he acts strangely while the androids probe his body. During this stressful and unsettling encounter, he receives medical analysis and therapy in a bizarre setting. THX briefly reunites with Elle in a white space. She tells him she is pregnant with his child, which makes THX feel both joy and hope at the idea of starting a family in their oppressive world. However, their happiness is short-lived as android officers intervene, forcefully separating them. THX is taken away, leaving Elle behind. The trial of THX begins, marking a crucial point in the movie. He faces serious charges for breaking the strict rules of their society by having sex and not taking the required mind-altering pills. In this dystopian world, such actions usually result in the harshest punishment, death. However, THX's unique situation leads to an unexpected outcome. Medical analysis shows that THX is a lab-created individual, conceived and born through scientific means. Because of this, the authorities decide that executing THX would be a waste of resources. Instead, they send him to prison, which is slightly better but still a tough fate. Sen, whom THX had earlier reported for illegal room swapping, is also sent to prison. The prison is a stark, featureless place where everything is white, creating a feeling of endless emptiness and confusion. The inmates are allowed to sit on white benches alone with their thoughts, trying to comprehend the gravity of their situation. In the bleak environment, S strikes up a conversation with THX, asking if his detention was brought on by the woman he loves. Sen then suggests an ambitious plan for them to break out of the prison. The thought of breaking out gives THX hope, as he longs to be reunited with the mother of his unborn child, even though the other inmates seem heartless. TX and SN decided to carry out their plan and start their risky escape. Thank you, Senator. As they travel far outside the prison's walls, they continually glance behind them to see how far they've come. They gauge their success by the decreasing visibility of their fellow inmates. Continue exploring the prison's endless white expanse. Disappears from view, confirming their progress across this seemingly endless emptiness. As they make their getaway, they come across an unexpected stranger. THX and Senan are intrigued by this unexpected person in the vast whiteness, so they stop to look into who this person might be. As the unknown man approaches them, his features become more pronounced, and he introduces himself as SRD 5752, explaining that he is a former star of Holo broadcasts. Senan and THX inform SRT of their circumstances. They had been unintentionally traveling in circles back at the central unit, so SRT offers to help. When two prisoners escape, it raises alarms and the authorities start planning how much money to spend on the operation to bring the escapees back. While this methodical approach to a search and rescue mission highlights society's emphasis on cost-effectiveness and efficiency even in security-related matters, the trio, which now includes SRT, finally manages to break free from the boring white space and discovers that they are in a different area of the city during their escape. After THX and Senior are split up from Sin, the latter stumbles upon a monastery and runs into a monk in a confession booth. The monk notices that SC doesn't have an identity badge and offers help, but in a fit of pique, SC attacks the monk. After that, he wanders into a child-rearing area and has a brief, aimless conversation with the kids before being taken into custody by the police. Android devices. The control room where THX and SRT find themselves is full of computer switches. To his dismay, THX, who is eager to find Elle, looks up her name in the system and finds that she has been terminated and that her identity has been transferred to her unborn child, who is currently in a growth chamber and is known as fetus number 66691. THX realizes his hunt for Elle is pointless, so he turns his attention to leaving the stifling setting with SRT. They make their way to a car storage area, even though they could be apprehended by the oncoming police. Android devices. When SRT succeeds in starting one of the cars, they daringly flee the scene while being continuously watched over by the central system, underscoring the widespread monitoring and control that the government maintain in this dystopian society. THX finds himself on his own. SRT has vanished from sight. Despite this, THX continues to pursue his escape, being chased by two android police officers on motorcycles. As THX gets closer to what appears to be the city's edge in the end, the pursuit gets more intense. THX comes across an unforeseen obstacle when odd beings that resemble monkeys and are referred to as shell dwellers appear and pose a threat to him. THX is forced to navigate through this new danger, struggling to avoid their grasp. In the midst of this chaos, THX spots a ladder leading upwards, a potential escape route. Fueled by hope and desperation, he begins to climb, believing this could be his final chance to break free from the suffocating confines of his life in the underground city. The android officers, still in pursuit, start to climb the ladder after him. However, in a twist of fate, Central Control Unit issues an unexpected order to the android officers: stop the pursuit. The budget allocated for the operation to capture THX has been exhausted, and as a result, the operation is terminated. The androids, bound by their programming and orders, cease their chase and descend the ladder, leaving THX to continue his ascent unchallenged. As THX climbs higher, the officers use a loudspeaker to warn him that the world outside the city's shell is uninhabitable, attempting to persuade him to surrender. But THX, driven by unwavering resolve, ignores their warnings and pushes forward, climbing towards the unknown. Upon reaching the top of the ladder, THX awakens to a completely new world that is very different from the underground metropolis he has been a part of. He is overcome by the brightness of this strange new setting, which stands in stark contrast to the artificial lighting of the city below. The film ends with THX standing on the surface, shade his eyes from the sun's glare. If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.